Welcome to Black History Month. Thank you for joining us on DC News Now. I'm Tosin Fakile. This month across the country, people will celebrate Black history, culture, and more. The history of this month-long celebration dates back almost a century, and this way it's celebrated, and the way it's celebrated keeps evolving. As we honor Black history, we're bringing you so many stories, ranging from a museum highlighting DC's music, one HBCU making history in some college athletics, a story of exoneration to business owner, and Black women and maternal health. Let's get started. Now, when you live in DC, the national monuments usually serve as the landscape, but we all know the soundtrack for the district is unmistakably go-go. The music is born, bred, and booming here. DC News Now's Susan Tran has a sneak peek inside the new Go-Go Museum.
It's a storefront on MLK Jr. Avenue in Anacostia. Step inside.
Go-Go is the heartbeat and soul of our city.
And you're instantly injected into the lifeblood of DC.
Go-Go is hot. Go-Go is lively.
This is the Go-Go Museum.
Go-Go is the voice of our city.
So what does it sound like?
So Go-Go is a combination of music infused with African, Latino percussion, right? Call and response, jazz, hip hop, and just funk.
Advocate and go-go promoter Ronald Moten is the founder. His friends call him Mo.
I had 16 exhibits in my brain.
At 3,000 square feet of indoor space.
These are copies of Globe posters, which were infamous in the city.
So this is the way to communicate where the party is before social media?
Right, before social media. And they had hotlines, go-go hotlines, and everything.
That you would call and be like, where's the party?
Yeah, it'd just say it. It'd be like a recording.
Mo had to use every inch of floor, ceiling, and walls.
In the bathroom, this is Natalie's favorite, one of her favorite, is the Go-Go glossary. So every inch in here is used.
All to tell a very complex story.
The history of Go-Go is tied to the history of Washington, D.C.
An orchestra of Black culture, art, economy, and activism, beginning with Chuck Brown, who gave birth to the distinctly district sound in the mid-'70s.
When I started breaking down doing that percussion, didn't have to do 25 songs a night no more.
It became so popular by the late 80s, when EU's debut was featured in Spike Lee's School Days, the museum's curator and American University professor Natalie Hopkinson says go-go was criminalized.
Kids loved it. They flocked to clubs. And that coincided with the time when DC was considered the murder capital. And there was a lot of problems around gun violence, around addiction. Instead of dealing with the hard thing like, okay, we have a gun problem or we have a drug problem, they decided that we had a go-go problem.
Police crackdowns soon shut down nightclubs.
When DC police surveilled go-go artists.
Cutting off a whole generation from its deeply rooted indigenous DC culture.
But go-go, thankfully, was very resilient. Had to go underground, had to really protect itself and fight to survive.
I knew the only way that we can save it is with a museum. You touch it, and it comes up.
A pipe dream flourished into a fully interactive space.
You can tag our wall, and then you can send this upstairs to be printed on a t-shirt.
From holograms with AI technology letting you chat with Big G.
Hey, Big G, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite go-go song?
Hey, picking a favorite song is tough, but when it comes to go-go, Bustin' Loose by Chuck Brown is a classic.
To an app-based walking tour.
Talks about the go-go floats that I started back in 2010 to encourage people to come to the MLK parade.
There's a recording studio and stage.
Sometimes we have artists and different people here with Dr. Hopkinson.
Plus hundreds of artifacts.
This is the pen that Mayor Muriel Bowser used to sign the legislation making go-go the official music of Washington, D.C.
A record-spinning 180 from lawmakers. In 2020, the city kick-started building the museum, funding about 80%. The rest community raised,
Our stage is being built right now.
turning go-go from demonized to a superpower.
Go-Go has a rich history of keeping this city alive when nobody wanted to be here. So I think it's due for the city to get back to Go-Go and make sure that we preserve the history and culture that's here today.
In Anacostia, Susan Tran, DC News Now.
The museum's grand opening is February 19th. It will also have a cafe and outdoor music venue. Well, getting to a new chapter after a wrongful conviction. A Charles County man speaking out after he was wrongfully accused, convicted, and sent to prison for 24 years for a D.C. murder he did not commit. DC News Now's Tim Reed tells us Troy Berner's story of exoneration and becoming a successful business owner, making a new life for his family.
5 years after being released from prison, Troy Berner and his wife opened up their business, Berner's Bar and Grill, here in Charles County. Berner tells us he's not angry about having to serve 24 years in prison as an innocent man. He says he's just happy to be free with his family. On any given day, you will find Troy Berner and his wife working in their kitchen, preparing to serve their customers at their restaurant in Indian Head, Maryland.
I'm very thankful. I'm very humble, very grateful, very appreciative of God's blessing and his favor.
But Berner says a traumatic ordeal as a teenager years earlier turned his life upside down. One night in 1990 changed everything when 27-year-old Michael Wilson was shot and killed in Northeast.
And it went from we knew you weren't involved to suddenly somebody placing me in the vicinity. It wasn't a concern of mine, because I was pretty sure, I had nothing to do with it, so.
The case went to trial. Several suspects took the stand, testifying before a grand jury inside a D.C. courtroom.
Ultimately, that's when I was arrested. Released 2 weeks later on personal recognizance. 13 months later, went to trial and was found guilty.
A suspect named him as someone involved in the deadly shooting. At the time of the crime, Berner was just 17 years old.
It was very painful. I think being in that situation, first of all, being incarcerated, period, there's a certain amount of trauma that, that you experience.
But 4 years later in 1994, a jury convicted 21-year-old Berner and 3 other men. These are some photos of Troy while he was behind bars with fellow inmates. During his nearly 25 years in prison, he maintained his innocence and fought for his freedom. Freedom he was granted in November 2018, a month after 2 men came forward admitting their guilt in the shooting.
It was kind of like a weight was lifted off, not my shoulder or my whole body. I was fortunate enough to come home.
Thanks to a reduced sentence through D.C.'s Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act, Berner was a free man, and he was exonerated on March 26, 2020. Berner says he isn't angry and doesn't hold a grudge, but his wife Cherie says her husband's struggle has left her a little bitter with the justice system.
For me, it makes me angry at times when I think about how he was robbed. He was robbed of his life, his youth, his visions, his dreams. So everything was just kind of taken from him.
But just a few years after his release, things took a positive turn for the Berners. On March 26, 2021, Troy and Cherie exchanged vows and tied the knot.
I am happy. I love my life. I love my husband.
The Berner family are now celebrating a new chapter, watching their customers have a good time on the dance floor and serving some of Charles County's best food off the grill.
And I love what we've accomplished. I appreciate him. I appreciate his sacrifices. I appreciate, his integrity, because it took a strong person to say I'm innocent.
Berner also is a mentor and often shares his story to help others. In Charles County, Maryland, Tim Reed, DC News Now.
Our special continues. Moss Kendricks, a name that many might not be very familiar with, but it is a name that paved the way for many well-known, iconic African-American trailblazers. Our Skylar Salas takes us to the Moss Kendrick exhibit in Alexandria and has more in the story.
The exhibit that we're in right now in the Parker Gray Gallery of the Alexandria Black History Museum is on the pioneering public relations executive, Moss H. Kendricks. And Moss H. Kendricks for framing the black image.
Moss Kendricks played one of the most pioneering roles in the world of public relations by changing the stereotypes used in advertising around black people. His exhibit at the Alexandria Museum shows his life's work.
This exhibit is an overview, looking at his career, how he got started, and looking at the changes he made to bring equity and parity to the African American when they're seen in advertising. So he was moving away from the old stereotypes of the mammy image that you often would see, or the old black man that you would see who would be imparting wisdom, and looking at African Americans in the same way you looked at contemporary white families, and showing that there is absolutely no difference, that we all want the same things.
His most recognizable work was him changing advertising for the Aunt Jemima products and Uncle Ben Rice by creating advertisements highlighting the black community in a more positive light.
One of his biggest clients was Coca-Cola, also Carnation Milk, the Ford Company, to look at how they were marketing, if they were even marketing at all, to an African American clientele, because he knew that African Americans could bring in multi-millions of dollars if they got behind a product that they liked and they felt safe in.
Audrey Davis, who is the director of the museum, says she hopes that by showcasing Moss Kendricks' life's work, it will open doors for today's youth to be more interested in black history.
I think that anyone would find it fascinating. If you're into baseball, we've got baseball information. We can share that information with you, and we've enjoyed having students come in and learn about this major figure who people probably knew or recognized in the different magazines from the period, but now no longer do. And for us, it's always sharing that history and making sure it doesn't become lost, and that's really what we're very proud of at the museum.
In Alexandria, Skylar Salas, DC News Now.
Coming up, a powerful story of resilience. Howard University's 1974 soccer team beating the odds, becoming national champions. We hear from the coach about this historic win. And making history as a trailblazer, a North Carolina veteran and aviator honored this Black History Month. Winning a national title in college sports isn't easy, yet only one historically black college or university has ever accomplished that feat in soccer. DC News Now's Dave Laval tells us you don't have to look far in the DMV to find that university.
It was vivid. It was like it was yesterday.
More like just over 50 years ago, as Howard University won the 1974 NCAA Men's Soccer National Championship. Lincoln Phillips served as the Bison's head coach for the squad that defeated St. Louis 2-1 in a 4-overtime thriller.
If we had lost, I don't know what we would have done. We probably would have died or something, but we had to win.
The win on that cold December 7th in St. Louis also gave the Bison redemption as they defeated the same university 3 years earlier. However, the NCAA stripped Howard of that title after it ruled the Bison used ineligible players.
That's the knees. It's the knees, yes. The knees.
Winston Yowery served as an assistant coach on the 74 team and played on the 71 squad. He and others maintained the Bison's innocence.
That team felt very wronged. And it felt like we had been the subject of a campaign designed to keep us in our place.
You had us running all over the place.
Dr. Trevor Leiba is Howard's Director of Student Affairs, Allied Health Sciences. He also played goalie as a freshman in the 74 championship match.
To win that championship was beautiful. Very enthusiastic and very determined that we were going to win this NCAA championship.
Under Phillips' leadership, Howard advanced to the NCAA semifinals in 1970, 71, and 72. The NCAA banned the Bison from the 73 tournament because of the violations. But the 74 squad holds a special place in the heart of the former Bison head coach.
It was one of the best teams that I've ever coached on the professional or on the college level.
Howard finished the 74 season 19-0-0 and outscored opponents by an incredible 63-6 margin.
We will win it. The toughest team that we will have to play against would be Howard itself.
The Bison continue to celebrate their accomplishment, while some bitterness remains.
I don't see that kind of importance attached to it by the university, by the black community, by the larger community, or anybody.
A moment that saw the Bison become the first historically black college and university to bring home the NCAA soccer title. At Howard University, Dave Lavelle, DC News Now.
Now, that 1971 national title remains vacant as the NCAA also stripped Howard of its third-place finish in the 1970 national tournament. Let's move from the big stage in sports to the theater stage. What happens when you mix classic musicals with local flair? You get DC Black Broadway, an organization giving kids a creative outlet while preserving the history of the district. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg takes us behind the scenes.
Stop singing! It takes a lot of work to put on a show.
It's a hard knock life for us.
With a lot of talent and a little direction.
Good. Makes you open up.
Kids on stage with DC Black Broadway are able to shine.
We doing this in broad day. They been sleeping on my city, Black Broadway.
Black Broadway harkens back to DC's historic past, full of culture and creativity. It's why Dr. LaVale Long started DC Black Broadway for today's audience.
It's a new generation that's learning about the culture of the Washington, D.C.
He and his wife, Angelique, write shows combining classic theater with local flair.
They meet legends, they learn our lingo, they learn our music, they learn everything about what we used to do.
Most of the productions are at the Lincoln Theater on U Street.
Once again, we're selling out. And what's most important to me, these kids to get to see our history, they've got to be in a building that's 101 years old.
Miss Ali from Ben's Chili Bowl, the owner, she said that she hadn't seen this many black people in the Lincoln in decades. And the fact that we're bringing a whole community back to U Street and into theater.
Fill that house up. Project.
Director Kelly Chauncey helps unlock potential.
I've always known the intrinsic value and the magic and the power of the creative arts for young people in order to give them an outlet and a different mode of expression.
DC Black Broadway teaches more than just theatrical technique, but financial literacy.
We have 60 kids here. They're getting paid. They are paid professional actors. When they walked in the door, they thought they were doing it for free.
Dr. LaVale Long also teaches etiquette.
The etiquette that's taught and just like having good role models that like sometimes it's not even spoken, it's just like you see. And it's like because you see it, it's like, dang, like that's how I need to start acting, because you see the reaction they get out of it.
Actress Nia Glover loves being a part of this community.
I am learning a lot while here, so it's like I'm learning it and then I get to embody it when I'm on the stage and even when I'm off stage.
This stage is a platform for future success.
DC Black Broadway is a great place to learn and a great place to build, but it's also a great place to catch fire and know that you can go on and have the courage to achieve someplace else.
In Southeast, Daniel Hamburg, DC News Now.
Thank you, Daniel. It's the first step, and it's a big one. A trailblazing female pilot changing the way the world sees aviation. Makaya Baylor introduces us to a North Carolina veteran making history.
Oh my goodness.
Captain Jones is about to come face to face with.
And then look at my face up there. Like what are we doing?
It's her first look at the exhibit Sullenberger Aviation officials created to honor her remarkable career as a military aviator.
This is such an honor. I'm Captain Lindsay Jones, and I'm the first African-American female helicopter pilot for the North Carolina National Guard.
Jones is part of the Trailblazing Women exhibit here at the Sullenberger Aviation Museum.
I am a part of Women Making Waves.
A Raleigh native and citizen soldier, Captain Jones considers it a privilege to serve her country as an officer and helicopter pilot.
Every time I interact with someone, I never know how far it's going to send them.
She also serves her community as a licensed clinical mental health counselor.
I'm just taken aback.
Captain Jones is literally larger than life in her exhibit display, where her uniform, boots, and gloves are showcased. It's a reflection of her history of breaking barriers as an African-American woman in a traditionally male-dominated field.
As a child, I never dreamed that my face was going to be on a Smithsonian-related museum. Like, no, not even any museum. I never could picture that even happening.
As a role model, a 17-year National Guard veteran, and still the State Guard's only female African-American helicopter pilot, Captain Jones has a special message for girls.
Me, little Lindsay, when I first joined, I was a private first class, Lindsay Jeffries. I didn't know that I was going to be a pilot. So what I want them to know is you do not have to know everything you'll do in your future. You just have to know to take the first step. That's it.
Captain Jones says when girls see her exhibit, they should know she is a representation of them, an extension of their potential. When they think about what a pilot looks like, she wants them to remember
there was a black lady up there and she could fly, and she doesn't look like the normal depiction in my mind of what a pilot looks like. So maybe that can be me as well.
To Captain Jones, thank you for your service. That was our McKay Beeler reporting. Coming up, spreading awareness through cycling. A Prince George's County man impacting his community one bike at a time. And taking a look inside the Dolman Black Heritage Museum in Hagerstown. During World War II, over 2.5 million African-American men registered for the draft. This Black History Month, we're taking a glimpse into the words of one black soldier who defended his country. We go to Hagerstown, where Janice Kelch chronicles her father's service and his remarkable contribution to his community when he returned home. Here's DC News Now's Stephen Cohen.
I'm here at the Dolman Black Heritage Museum in Hagerstown with Alicia Parson and Janice Kelch, whose collection of 159 letters from her father tell quite a story about the black experience in World War II. Janice Kelch's father, Robert Henry Kelch, served his country as a soldier in England, Tunisia, Corsica, and Italy. Janice found a treasure, letters he sent home from the battlefront.
And it was somewhat of a love story, too, because he wrote to a sweetheart of his, which was his next-door neighbor that he ended up marrying, and that was my mother.
Kelch lost her mother at a young age. The war veteran's daughters were 12, 13, and 14 at the time.
He was just such a wonderful father, and he loved his girls. We were daddy's little girls.
He opened a diner on Hagerstown's west side, famous for his steamers or sloppy joes.
You could actually, he used a lot of onions, and so you can smell it coming.
Among her father's treasures, she uncovered his recipes as a cook for the troops on the front.
I had that original menu from 1944 Christmas that he was the preparer for.
Alicia Parson with Hagerstown's Black Heritage Museum has fond memories of the returning soldier and diner operator, Robert Kelch.
It was the fact that he was community-minded. He looked out for all of us.
He left his mark in the Hagerstown community.
It was a very sad day, the day that he passed in our neighborhood. I remember that day. We all felt the loss.
And come this November, Janice Kelch's book about her father's letters will be published. For Black History Month, reporting from the Dolman Black Heritage Museum in Hagerstown, Stephen Cohen, DC News Now.
A Prince George's County man turning his passion for cycling into something he can share with his community. DC News Now's Tiger Munn spoke with the owner of Jaffe Cycling Bike Shop in Lanham.
I always remember just what that feeling was like of being on the bike and just how free I felt, but also just how much more clear my mind was.
Over a decade later, Matt Ono-Jaffe is spreading that freedom in his home of Prince George's County.
But the community was so welcoming of what I was trying to do, what we were trying to build, and I think it was more so that experience that I got on the bike, that freedom. I always tell folks, like, I'm never trying to sell you on a service. I mean, yes, we have to sell you bikes, but the biggest thing is I always want you to get that experience, what it feels like to be out on the bike, being out in nature.
Ono-Jaffe started cycling in 2014 as exercise, and after falling in love with the sport, he would open a bike shop in Lanham during the 2020 pandemic, and since then has taken the cycling world by storm.
We've engaged with more than 500,000 accounts. So we've got folks in Atlanta who know who Jaffe Cycling is, folks in California, and even across the over the seas as well. So I really make it a point for me to go out and meet the local club leaders, those who organize these club rides, some of the organizations as well, and that's really helped kind of grow our presence as well.
And it isn't all about success. Ono-Jaffe started the Jaffe Cycling Foundation, made to give back to his community, and also introduce other black people to cycling, a demographic with low numbers in the sport.
It's slow to get adopted as far as our community, but I think that the more folks see like the videos, they see the content, and I always accredit a lot of that to social media, so Instagram and Facebook really help kind of blast that message out there like, hey, we can ride bikes too. We've connected with over 22 different black cycling clubs here in Prince George's County, which spans roughly a little bit over 6,000 cyclists. So like the community has grown so much since 2020.
One way Ono-Jaffe is doing that is by setting up young mechanics and engineers with working opportunities, something he did at the beginning of his business.
And I remember being in the basement, and it would take me hours, days, sometimes even a week on a particular project that I couldn't figure out on my own. And I had to find the answer on my own. Whereas now they have me as a resource. So it's great that they have me as a resource, but I do get a little jealous.
His foundation is also trying to bring cycling to Prince George's County schools across the region, starting with his old school in Gwen Park Middle School, teaching the kids about the world of cycling and also inspiring them.
Say I would go back to Gwen Park Middle School, took a U-Haul, I would load all the bikes up, and then after school we would take the students on a couple of drill courses. We'd set the cones out for them. I do see the smiles, I do see the way they perk up, and honestly I just let them know that like this is all possible.
Reporting in Prince George's County, I'm Tiger Munn, DC News Now.
A CDC report shows postpartum depression affects about 1 in 8 women of reproductive age. 29 to 44% of black women experience postpartum depressive symptoms. This is according to the NIH. Yet few are properly identified with postpartum depression. Local organizations working to help mothers and their families. I spoke with Kamisha Battle Jackson, who works for the organization Postpartum Support Virginia, that works to help mothers and their families overcome anxiety, depression, and other complications. So walk us through, I know postpartum depression is something you personally have experienced, so walk us through what it's like going through that.
You know, it was a troubling time. And at the time when I was going through the depression, I did not know I was going through it, but it really felt very much, it was very lonely, very lonely. I felt isolated. I did not feel like myself. I tell people that I cried every day for the first 3 months of my son's life. So there was immense sadness for me. It almost felt like there was just a dark cloud over me. I did not experience much joy, and you know, having a baby, people make you think that it's supposed to be just like so joyous and fun and happiness and bursts of laughs and things and giggles and all that. And there were some moments of that, but there were many times where I was just severely sad and just not able to fully enjoy my son.
What 2 advice or tips do you have for expecting moms or the moms currently dealing with postpartum depression?
Yes, my advice to you all is to please reach out for help. Do not suppress how you feel. If your physician doesn't listen to you when you tell them, if your family doesn't listen to you when you tell them, tell someone, tell a friend, tell a therapist, tell a counselor, tell someone, I don't feel like myself. This is actually harder than I thought and I need help.
A big thank you to Kamisha for sharing her story with us. Help is available. This is a list of both national and local resources for postpartum depression. Bringing the youth together through building. We'll check out gentrified wood in D.C. Welcome back. I'm Tosin Fakile. DC News Now, honoring and highlighting Black history, empowering youth in DC through woodworking, a local group helping build confidence in some young people. Our photographer, Zach Coleman, shows us gentrified wood.
Gentrified wood got to start, early in COVID, and it was just my son and I trapped in a house in in uptown in Mount Pleasant, and it was one of the first neighborhoods to be completely gentrified. I would start to walk the alleys and just collect some beautiful pieces of wood. Right out back, I'd sit out there and under a fire pit, and I just started sanding wood and making benches, and that's when kind of the idea became alive. Kids were asking me for, money just about every single day. I was like, let's put something together to create something that they can earn their own money. And that's when they started coming by the house and seeing a different way of life. Most of the work started with just simply coming together to do breath work. And then it progressed to them starting to work with the wood. It started as something very small just to generate a little revenue for the kids, but then it formed into something even bigger, like a boys club, a place where young inner city youth could have a safe place to come of age. I thought it was very important for us to be able to talk about and put a spotlight on the people who were there before, telling the stories within the wood. In a lot of our benches, you will see stories laser engraved in the wood. Either they tell a story of the artist, or they tell a story of where that actual wood came from. That lets folks know that they can't just throw us away and dispose of us as they move in, and that our stories are still here, and we're still an intricate part of the communities.
What a powerful message. Thanks to photographer Zach Coleman. Well, this Black History Month, we're celebrating landmarks that have stood the test of time. We head to Norfolk, Virginia, home to a theater with more than century-old roots and a trailblazing story, boasting with fortitude. Lauren Martinez introduces us to the Atticus.
A rich piece of Black history is still standing in Norfolk, Virginia. Built in 1919, the Attucks Theater is the oldest in the U.S. of its kind and named in tribute of American patriot Crispus Attucks.
Once coined as the Apollo of the South, the Attucks Theater was uniquely financed, designed, and built by Blacks, and in its heyday, bringing to center stage some of the most iconic performers of their time.
Duke Ellington, Nat King Cole, Gary U.S. Bonds, Dizzy Gillespie, Cab Calloway, all of the greats who you think of having performed at the Apollo certainly performed on the Attucks stage.
As for Gary U.S. Bonds, his introduction to the theater started long before he became a musical heavyweight. One visit to the Attucks as an adolescent boy was the start of what would blossom into a rewarding music career.
Man, I think I want to do this, whatever it is, And that's what got me excited to get into show business.
But where would the opportunity for those budding entertainers be without the vision of the pioneering group of Black businessmen known as the Twin City Amusement Corporation, who opened the theater on Church Street, right in the heart of Norfolk's African-American community?
Everybody wanted to hang out where the good crowd was, where the fun crowd was, And Church Street was it. The Attucks Theater was part of it.
So they went about hiring an African-American architect, Harvey Johnson, to design the Attucks as a showplace of the South. And it was designed for theater. with line sets to raise and lower settings and curtains.
The original Boston Massacre curtain still hangs above the attic stage.
As Crispus was leading the charge, he is the first to die in the Boston Massacre, and that became the first battle of the American Revolutionary War.
The attics had become more than a theater, but a musical haven where people of color could pay 25 to 50 cents to be entertained and bond together.
This is the building where my parents first laid eyes on one another. You can come into a theater building and feel the energy, you know, the spirit.
Years later, he became a playwright and directed shows in the very same venue.
When we look back at how African Americans, despite all of the challenges that we have endured and we worked through, to see this monument to our success being built, to a monument to our capacity to endure, a monument to our ability to withstand all kinds of trials and tribulations. And I think that that's one thing that this theater represents.
And that was Lauren Martinez reporting for us. We leave Virginia heading to Colorado, the Bill Pickett Rodeo. There is a chance for black cowboys and cowgirls to show off their skills in the rodeo ring. But it has an even bigger meaning. The man behind the rodeo started it as a way to dispel the misconception of a lack of black presence in the American West. We're hearing from his wife about his legacy.
We refer to ourselves as the greatest show on dirt. Man, it's an adrenaline rush.
And you're all pumped up.
It's competitive. Sometimes people ask me, why do you create or have a African American or black rodeo? Our black cowboys and cowgirls were not allowed in certain associations.
I've been competing and riding for 8 years, since I was 6 years old. We have a lot of talent and not a lot of it gets to be shown.
So as a production manager, my main goal is to make sure that we are putting on a show that is not only entertaining, but it is also educational.
A lot of the crowd is the faster you go, in my opinion.
It is important for us to show our kids that there is history, there is a heritage there.
At the end of the day, we're all friends and family. We're all going to cheer each other on. We're all going to support each other.
It's a family event.
4 and 5 generations.
I rodeo, my husband rodeos, my children, my grandchildren are now competing.
It is our responsibility to tell our own history and tell it the way it should be told.
Still today, a lot of people don't realize that black cowboys and cowgirls are real.
When you see these cowboys and cowgirls perform, you will understand why we call ourselves the greatest show on dirt.
Coming up, she joined the military after President Truman ended segregation in the military. But it still was not an easy road for retired Lieutenant Colonel Martha Baker. Welcome back. I'm DC News Now's Tosin Fakile. As the world celebrates Black History Month, February has special meaning in Washington, D.C. A local author shares how an assignment turned into a discovery of her legacy and the city's. Haley Mylon has the story.
Everybody knew everybody. We didn't miss going downtown. We didn't give a stuff. I mean, excuse my language, but they wanted to have all that stuff to themselves. Fine. We had all this stuff to ourselves.
The words of Richard Lee capturing sentiments of Black Broadway. The U Street corridor turned safe haven and sanctuary for Black people in D.C. in the first half of the 20th century.
You had more than 300 Black-owned businesses, about 100 Black churches, and an array of after-hours, nightclubs, jazz spots, juke joints.
For journalist Brianna Thomas, it's not just D.C. history. An assignment sparked a journey exploring her own family's legacy in the district.
My grandmother, Evelyn Thomas, who just turned 85 years old this year, she used to take me around D.C. into some of the places on Black Broadway when I was growing up.
Thomas learned so much in her research that she wrote a book, Black Broadway in Washington, D.C., dedicated to her grandmother, Evelyn. Her book, A Portal to the Past.
This time is segregation, so it doesn't matter how
taking us back decades here in the Howard Theater.
This is the birthplace right here. When it opened in 1910, it was the largest theater in the world for Black audience.
The history spills out into the street. Thomas researched the 5 remaining Black-owned businesses with ties to Black Broadway. One of them, a hearty D.C. eatery now known far and wide.
Ben's Chili Bowl had a whole campaign, maybe about a year or two, to say the real D.C. Black people were already here in this neighborhood, building churches, building schools, starting businesses, and then eventually partying because we like to have a good time.
But over the years, social and political change chipped away at the community.
Eventually, the 1968 uprising after Martin Luther King Jr., and then most recently, we would say gentrification.
Thomas's book inspired a walking tour of the corridor. Her company, Black Broadway Travels, takes folks back in time, commemorating the history that would become the fabric of the real D.C. During Black History Month, Thomas hopes Black Broadway's past reflects what's possible for the future generation.
My message to them would be to look at your history, because when you look at your history, you're able to see what generations before us overcame. With all the obstacles they had, they continued to push forward. And what better place to do that than right here in Washington, D.C.
Reporting in Northeast D.C., I'm Haley Mylon, D.C. News Now.
The strong impact of African Americans in the U.S. military is evident through our nation's history. Colorado, home to a celebrated retired lieutenant colonel who at the age of 97 still making a difference. The Military Women's Memorial in Arlington, Virginia, proclaiming her a living legend. Reporter Shaul Turner has her story.
A time to reflect and a time to honor the contributions of women who bravely served their country.
Here, 70 years later, my whole life changed because I joined the Army.
The Military Women's Memorial proclaiming Lieutenant Colonel Martha Baker a living legend in a special ceremony attended by Aurora's mayor and other dignitaries.
Anybody that comes to the National Military Women's Memorial in Arlington, Virginia, can put in Lieutenant Colonel Martha Baker, and on a big television screen, your story and photo comes up, and we can always read about what you did as a nurse, serving with the junior ROTC instructor.
Baker developed a passion for helping others early in her life, saving money to pay for nursing school, then caring for patients at a New Jersey hospital.
My salary was $78.
And that was for 2 weeks of night duty. Baker enlisted in the Army in 1951 and was stationed at Fort Dix in New Jersey.
I went to Germany from LaGuardia, 18 hours across the Atlantic on a flying triangle plane, 2 propellers.
President Harry Truman ended segregation in the military in 1948, integrating 300 hospitals around the world, including Korea, where Baker served as an operating room nurse. She would also travel to Japan and Vietnam.
I went so many places, I met so many people.
Even with the admiration and respect she earned among her peers in the military, Baker still experienced racism at home. She recalls a painful memory of what happened when she tried to enter a store in Maryland.
When I went to the door to go into the store, he said, "You can't come in here," and I'm wearing my uniform.
And to know somebody like Colonel Baker that did things because she was black, she couldn't do certain things that I just take for granted, that could have taken for granted even then.
Today, Baker sits surrounded by love and support from those in and out of the military as she continues to inspire well into her 97th year.
Oh, everything that happened, it was like God was just leading me.
A legend indeed. Coming up, making major moves on the ice. How one local organization is changing the game, creating a space for skaters of color to connect. Welcome back. A local organization changing the world of figure skating one student at a time by creating a space for minority skaters to connect. DC News Now, Skylar Salas shows us the founder of the Diversify Ice Foundation.
There's been so many different experiences that I had in the sport that I really figured I need to make a difference and make sure everyone is feeling welcomed in this sport.
Joel Savory first fell in love with figure skating as a child when he received a free ticket to try the sport for the first time. Since then, it led to more opportunities and experiences, which even led to a bigger purpose for Savory.
I ended up teaching my younger brother, who ended up winning the Junior National Championships, and on Team USA got to travel all over the world with him as a Team USA coach. And then I started to realize when more kids of color came to me for lessons that they were experiencing some of the same difficulties that I was experiencing, such as, the sport was way too expensive. We felt priced out. There was a lack of community.
Soon, the Diversify Ice Foundation was created in 2017 with a mission to provide a community in the world of figure skating while also providing inclusivity.
Provide a lot of sponsorship, mentorship, networks, opportunities for skaters of color across the country, as well as here in the DMV area. So we work with K through 12 schools to ensure that they are able to get introduced to the sport, especially here in the DMV, where there's so many minority schools that have never even, tried skating as a part of their sport and extracurricular activity.
Through the foundation, they also created Skate Raisers, where skaters connect with other more experienced skaters that look just like them. For skaters like Zuri Davis, it has allowed her to further improve her skills.
I went to one of their Skate Raisers and I was watching all of the performers on the ice and the whole event that they had curated, and it just seemed really interesting, and I want to be like a part of the movement and like involved in what they were doing.
Well, I like Coach Joe's foundation because I get to see and skate with people that look like me.
Diversify Ice Foundation has been able to show minorities that they can be successful in a sport that hasn't been known for many diverse skaters.
It's important for future generations to see that this isn't something that they have to steer away from or something that isn't for them, because every sport should be something that kids can enjoy. So I just think that Diversify Ice, in showing skaters of color who do this sport and do it well, teaches those kids that they can do it too.
Savory hopes that as the foundation grows, it will lead to even more growth in the ice skating world.
When you'll see some of these skaters out here doing beautiful double, triple jumps, and to know that we were a part of their journey, it means the world to me. And I really can't wait to, look one day at the Olympics and be able to say, we were able to be a part of their journey. That's why these kids got there. So it's the most amazing feeling, and I'm glad to have started Diversify Foundation.
In Southeast DC, Skylar Salas, DC News Now.
Thanks for joining us on DC News Now's Honoring Black History. I'm Tosin Fakile. For more, head to our website, dcnewsnow.com.